Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. What language is that?
I think I just had something caught there.
Oh, I'm thoroughly turned on.
Caught in your dick hole.
Whoa!
Hello, party people. It's your boy Dre. It's a new year and shit, so they tell me. I don't have a new calendar yet. I need to get one. Last year, I had a Mario calendar. What kind of calendar did you have, Steve?
My sister makes one of my nieces over the course of the year, and that's what I hang up every year. I'm a good uncle like that.
Oh boy, you're a family man. Kevin, you definitely had some sort of hustler calendar from like 93 or something where the dates still lined up so you could use it.
I hate to disappoint you. Last year we had the Scenic calendar that was free at the insurance company in town. This year for Christmas, my daughter made us at school a calendar where she has drawings and pictures of herself for every month. It's very sweet.
Nice. See, you guys are nice family men. I'm just a heathen. Here I am with the Mario.
Assuming I would have hustler calendars in my house. Get the fuck out of here.
Hey,
Check
come on.
under the bed.
I'm a clean man.
I thought you were going to say you're a jugs man. With
Kevin, those hustler calendars are good every 12 years. I think isn't that the cycle?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's using one from the past that, with all the dates.
So if you just
up.
collect them from 12 years, you've got an indefinite rotation of like 70s booby calendars.
I told this story on a sideshow, I think on Castlevania Advanced Collection, but I'm going to tell it now to start 2023. So my dad would go to his friend's house and take me with him, and they would like smoke weed or whatever in the living room. And so I wouldn't tell mom where we went or what we did. I could go in the back room and play all the Castlevania I wanted and like Blades of Steel. He had like a few NES games I didn't have. That's how I mostly played Castlevania was there. But on this dude's wall in his bedroom, he had this poster of the girl, the 80s girl on the red Corvette or whatever, right? And she was holding a wrench and it said, "Let me tighten your nuts." I had no idea what that meant.
she's being helpful, Andre. What do you mean?
She's being helpful, all right.
let me tighten your nuts. That's a repeatable message you can bring back to your mother. Yeah,
and "Let me tighten your nuts" was written. I'm sorry, I don't know another term for it, but the Asian font. You know what I mean? Like the takeout. No. Yeah. It was written in that. So I was like, okay, this is, you know what I mean? Now later in life, I think about it. It's like, oh yeah, that's funny. But yeah, the Castlevania room with the "Let me tighten your nuts" poster.
That is a great story, but frankly, even on that episode is still second to Trey talking about playing Perfect Dark on Game Boy Color, which I still think about once a week.
What a weird. I'm going to delve into that time in his life in an upcoming side episode that we have coming up. That's a preview for the people out there.
If he was playing Perfect Dark on Game Boy Color, there had to be some other gems around that time. He was making do with what he had.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but I feel like he chose that. I don't think he got Perfect Dark Game Boy Color for like a Christmas or something. I feel like he particularly wanted. Yeah, he chose. He chose.
Okay, you get to the bottom of it and report back.
Okay, he'll tell us when this episode hits. But I guess I'll go first with what we've been playing here over on Black Friday, I should say. They had up on PlayStation Network Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes, the 2019 and 2020, for a $15 package. And I'm a lapsed Resident Evil fan, as I'm sure most people know, but, it was my favorite series until 4 happened and, whatever. But I was like, this is when I used to like Resident Evil. I know they're remakes, but maybe for this cheap price, I can get something out of these. So I did play them both, but I'm just going to talk about 2 today. We're going to talk about, we being me and Steve, talk about 3 at a later date. Hopefully that later date is before Resident Evil 4 remake comes out.
It's in the pipeline.
Okay, I'm shaming you on the air so people can hold you accountable, just in case you don't do
It's
this.
coming. It's coming. No, don't worry.
Okay. But I guess I want to talk about how we got to Resident Evil like currently a little bit, because I feel like there's a bit of a misconception of like, yeah, Resident Evil was a product of its time, like pre-renders, fixed camera angles, tank controls. But I feel like they weren't just born out of hardware limitations. To me, Resident Evil was always like the ultimate update of like that classic adventure game style, whether it's a point and click, a text adventure, or just even like when you get to something, more graphic based, like a NES, like some, that kind of top down, use this item on this, not necessarily about combat kind of thing. Those kind of games evolved over time. I guess, I don't know if you want to say the Seventh Guest kind of even fits, like we're getting somewhere, especially with the CD-ROM format. I feel like Resident Evil is a culmination of that. And I feel like a lot of people don't really respect that.
Alone in the Dark was right there.
I mean, yeah, but that's when we get to the actual survival horror. But Kevin?
I've never thought about it that way, but when you put it like that, it makes complete sense.
Yeah. Like we're getting to 96 and we still have point and clicks. They're still kind of rampant. They're still, it was just the times, right?
It was a natural evolution.
Yeah. But I'm saying all this to say that Resident Evil 4 didn't retain any of that. And if you like that game, that's fine. But these Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes prove that Resident Evil 4 didn't have to be the way it did. They did that. That was a choice. Yeah, the series may have needed like to move forward, that is, but it didn't need to be like that. They didn't need to forget about the survival and the horror. And these Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes prove that they could have retained that feel if they wanted to, and they just didn't. But anyway, talking about Resident Evil 2 specifically, it's wild because I never thought, like I said, in this day and age of like very inconsistent, like I actually really liked Resident Evil Revelations when I played on PS4. I didn't play the 3DS original, but on our previous creative endeavor, me and Steve played Resident Evil Revelations 2, and boy, that was bad. Don't cry already. We haven't even made it into show 10 minutes. You can't cry already. I'm sorry to bring up such a painful memory, but everything's here. They did it. Puzzle solving, item usage, backtracking, finding keys, fight or flight situations, the thing I probably missed the most from the later ones. Finding notes. Like, it's all here in this Resident Evil 2 remake in a way that I just didn't even think they were capable of doing anymore or even wanted to do anymore because of where they have taken Resident Evil since. I do have a few complaints, though. And this may be an old man take of mine, and this doesn't pertain just to Resident Evil 2, but this game is guilty of it. Games talk too much nowadays. Like when the classic moment happens, Steve, where the liquor runs across the window, and then like I was playing as Claire first, she's like, "What was that? That wasn't in the original." You don't need to say that. Not that it needs to be exactly the same, but like, you don't need to like, the character doesn't need to say stuff. Like, let me experience the game. I can see that. And in my mind, I'm already going, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And side note, of course I'm not, because I played Resident Evil 2 before. I knew that was going to happen, of course. But you know what I mean? Let the player have their moment. Like while you're shooting zombies, Steve, and she's just like, "You asshole," or like randomly, or "Ew, what's wrong with you?" or something while you're shooting the zombies. Come on.
Leon, I played Leon's campaign, and he was more grunting or whatever most of the time. Not too much with the one-liners in combat.
He said a couple things. I don't remember what, but it was also like, but then but it makes Claire sound like a dumbass. Why is she saying, what's wrong with you? She knows what's wrong with him. It's a zombie. Like, what are you talking about? I don't know. I just don't like it. Shut up. Let me shoot the zombies by myself. You're taking me out of the game. Shh. It's like a little kid asking you, like, what's going to happen in the movie, as if you've seen the goddamn movie and like, okay, yeah, how about we just watch? Wow. Anyway, sorry, I didn't know I had that in me. Speaking of zombies, though, zombies, I really enjoyed the world persistence of them. The bodies sort of stay where they are, and even the damage. So let's say you shoot a zombie a couple times, it's coming for you, you decide you want to run. That couple shots of damage will like stay. This goes for like pretty much any enemy, whereas like before in like old Resident Evils, you know, they'd have to reload the rooms every time, hence the door animation, so they couldn't keep that info in RAM. I mean, did you notice? I mean, I know you talked about this game a few months ago, Steve. Was that something that was notable to you, or?
And I was just impressed that they could still go back and do Resident Evil 2 and still make it feel fresh. I wasn't thinking that complicated, but yeah, the door thing should have occurred to me, because that dynamic loading shit is stuff I look at all the I used to, and still kind of do, but I really should have pointed that more. That is a failing on me as a podcaster. I'm going to go do something else with my life now.
Wow, you're out? You peace out? Or me and Kevin are just going to have to do the rest of the show?
Yeah, I'm just going to move into the mountains and smoke cheese for the rest of my life. How's that?
You can't play Resident Evil up there.
I could plug it into the wall, hook it up to a beaver. I don't know.
Beaver's ass. But yeah, I like that. They kind of did this in like, I think starting in Resident Evil 2002, aka like GameCube, but like the doors aren't always safe because the zombies can bust through them. I thought that was so wild in the other game, because before on PlayStation, you were safe. You made it to the door, you were safe. That was not always the case. Sometimes later, and I like that they kept that here. You could shoot off limbs, maybe not in the Zero D Japanese version or something that they've probably found out. But I like that you could shoot off limbs. It's like usually that's not something I really take note of, but like I don't know, it's just a nice upgrade to their zombie system. But there is one thing that I wasn't sure that I liked, Steve, is that when you kill the zombie, you don't really know before you knew by the pool of blood that would come out from the zombie, okay, it's dead. They don't do that in this game.
I was thrown off by this too, because I'd go back into certain rooms, then suddenly there'd be 2 or 3 of them. I'm like, oh, you're the asshole I jammed the knife into before. Oh, yeah, okay. Now I get what we're doing here.
Yep. I don't know. I thought it was weird. I always kind of shot them a little more just to be sure, because this game does give you more ammo than before, I guess, so you can kind of waste a few bullets on them. Unless you're Kevin.
You're just trying to rub my nose in it at this point. Dude, I realize how all of your questions are like, you know, well, this happened, right, Steve? None of it's directed at Kevin. And then that comment obviously was meant to rub my nose in the mud. But anyhow.
Okay. I mean, look, I was trying to avoid this reaction, okay? I knew you were going to be sensitive about it. I didn't want you to feel bad.
You were trying to avoid it when you said, unless you're Kevin. That was trying to avoid it.
Okay, you got me there. You got
greasy
me there.
son of a bitch.
Well, you can't help it if he unloaded the whole machine gun clip on one zombie.
One zombie at a time.
He almost got me before. He was trying to bait me because he was like, you don't see the pool of blood and then you don't know if you're dead, but you get more ammo in this one, so you can waste a little bit. And he was waiting for me to flare up then. And I felt my neck hairs prickle.
They give you so much like gunpowder and shit. It was coming out of my ass.
Okay, fine. I get it. I'm not a super cool gamer like you are.
Like, Steve, come on. The amount of gunpowder was like insane compared to other games. Like,
yeah, and they even let you shove it in the magic box that just follows you everywhere for whatever reason.
They didn't even. Oh my god! Remember that? Like before, each box was a bespoke inventory. Holy shit, that was so bad. Oh man, that was something. But no, they do it. I look, it's not as tight as before, but it still is, and I liked it. But one more complaint: And you said you played only as Leon, Steve? You didn't play Claire
I
at
didn't
all?
play Claire. Sorry.
At some point in Claire's game, they make you play as Sherry Birkin, the little girl. Don't ever make me do that, video game. Don't ever take me from the character I want to be and make me play as a little girl or I have to do some stupid shit. I don't want it. Say Spider-Man, don't ever make me play as Mary Jane. I didn't like that. Don't make me do that. I want to be Spider-Man, goddammit. So again, this isn't like a Resident Evil 2 specific problem, but I just don't like when games do that.
And I want to play as Metroid. Don't let me play as that Samus chick.
Wouldn't that be like a cool, like, think about like Evolve, but good. So it's like, you know, a Metroid game where everyone's hunting, like someone is the Metroid. And then like, there's like 4 Samuses of different colors, like running around trying to kill like the Metroid.
Wasn't that what Federation Force tried to be, but it was on 3DS and we all laughed at it?
You think I would play that game? You kidding me? I'm never playing that. One more thing, though, in Leon's game, I did not like, Steve, where like the alligator boss was not a boss. It was just like a QTE.
Yeah, I thought that was...
Yeah, it's like...
It was a while, but I was like... We skipped the part, didn't we?
Yeah, I didn't like that at all. Speaking of skipping parts, wait till you play Resident Evil 3. Geez. Anyway,
I'm admittedly not as familiar with 3, so.
Well, it may or may not matter to you, but I think you'll feel its truncated nature regardless. Graphics on PlayStation 5, I should talk about. I played in the 60 frames per second ray tracing mode because I thought it was worth it. 120, I mean, like, you can do it, but it's, I don't know. For a game like this, like, the atmospherics were more important, so I stuck with the 60 ray tracing. It wasn't that stable. I think they could have done a lot of optimization here to make that stable, but I don't know. It was good enough for me. Whoa, you know what? I forgot. I did play as Leon. You get to play as Ada fucking Wong. That is way better than a little girl.
Yeah, that's only I guess that's only on Leon's side. That was fine, but if you want to talk about limited ammo, that is some shit. And they give you nowhere to hide, really almost nowhere to hide either.
Yeah, you're on the run the whole time.
And she's got her magic gun. I know it's stupid to call it that, but that's what it is. It opens doors. It explodes. It explodes power sources. It just does everything except shoot zombies.
It was goddamn Elebits up in there with the way you had to search for like power like sources. I don't know. It was so weird.
I mean, it was fine at first, but then there's like 2, 3, 4 zombies up your ass. And
yeah.
Okay, we get it. Can I open the door now? The checkpoints are generous enough during that part because they know, yeah, she's going to die a bunch.
I like how they do give you checkpoints in this game, even though it still uses the ink ribbon shit, even though you don't actually have ink ribbons unless you want to play on hardcore, right? So I like, you know, with this newfound power of mine, I saved like 67 times and shit because like, why be conservative?
Oh, I don't remember how much, but mine was an obscene number too.
You're a kind of a serial saver, though. You save a lot.
You got to do it.
Anyway, yeah, I enjoyed this. I didn't enjoy Resident Evil 3 nearly as much. We'll talk about that hopefully next month together because, boy, it's something. Real quick, before I pass this off to somebody else, I've been playing Chorus, a game called Chorus. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this. You may have seen it, though, because they do the thing where they turn the U into a V because they're trying to be fancy, so it looks like Chorves. That's what and the Twitter DM has been calling it, Chorves. It's what is that, an indie pop duo from like 2011, Chorves?
I thought that was the food truck that came to the indie pop duo concert.
Oh, the Chorves, where you can get them like the
Chorves truck. They have like one kind of grilled cheese and a tomato soup that they're out of.
Tater tots for sure, right?
I thought you were saying the chorves was the food, because if somebody offered me a chorve with gravy, I don't know what it is, but I would eat it.
Well, no, everyone goes online thinking, oh man, what's a chorve? That sounds exotic, but
Anyway, this is like one of those, like, it reminds me of two games in particular, two sort of obscure Dreamcast games. One of them's called Armada. Don't know if you guys have ever heard of this game. It was on Dreamcast. It was like a top-down sort of flight, sort of, what's a good, like, think about like Diablo in space, I guess. You can get, it's sort of like infinitely procedurally generated space that you could just kind of go out there and do whatever, but you also have missions. It kind of reminds me of that. And there was a Dreamcast game called, I think, I always want to call it Deep Water, but I think it's called Deep Fighter. It was basically like, not Mech Warrior. Yeah, maybe like Mech Warrior, but you're a submarine. It even had like live actors, like full motion video, which in the year 2000 was already pretty passe, but this game had it for some reason. I don't know why. That's weirdly coming back, isn't it? Like FMV actors. I don't know why. Anyway, yeah, Chorves, Chorus, if you will. It's just a space shooter without all the fiddly or sim stuff. Like, you get to explore stuff. It's mission based. You could say it's like open world, but it's not really. It's just a little chunk of the universe. You can't like go flying off wherever. It's not that kind of game. So it's not Mass Effect or anything. But it's like, yeah, pick up like equipment, upgrade your ship or whatever, and do some like fun little space missions. It takes itself really seriously. It has this like very serious tone that never lets up for like a second. So like, I can't really take it seriously. It's a little too much for me, but someone out there would really get into this like characterization and story. It's just not me, but I don't need that to enjoy a game like this. But yeah, real quick, if you have like PlayStation Plus Royale with cheese, it's free on there. Give it a go. Great DualSense support, by the way. This is a cross-gen game, but they did go the extra mile for PS5. It runs like a dream. There is a ray tracing mode, though I don't know what that does in space, and I wouldn't be caught dead playing a space shooter at 30 frames a second, so no thank you. But yeah, I don't know. Go find Chorves.
This is fairly new, or is this something that originally came out on PS4 and they updated for PS5?
No, I think it came out like last year sometime, or maybe now 2 years ago. I think it came out like in 2021 sometime, and it was like already a cross-gen thing. I hadn't heard of it till I was just bumming around the store and I saw it. So, oh, you know what? No, that's not what happened. I saw Wario 64 have like the physical edition of Chorus is on sale for whatever. And I looked at the box art. I'm like, this is Chorves. And then I saw it was on PlayStation Plus. So I tried it. Yeah, fun little game. I haven't beaten it yet, but yeah, I don't know. You want a little space shooter to play with a story, some fun little mechanics. It's good. But yeah, let's go to Kevin. Kevin, what you been playing? I don't.
Okay.
You tell me it hasn't been much though.
Well, you guys don't want to hear what I've been playing because in our Discord chat, and I say, well, I've been playing God of War again, and I'm still working on Hot Shots Golf on Vita, and nobody wants to hear about that, Kevin. Okay, fine.
I always want to hear about Vita.
Kevin, I only don't want to hear about Ragnarok because I'm still playing it. There's a difference.
Yeah, that's fair. And you already talked about Hot Shots on Vita. Okay, I've only got first impressions this time, but I did play the first few hours of High on Life, much to the resentment of my two buddies here. So obviously, the elephant in the room here is the humor. And you know what? I was on the fence about whether I was going to like it. For the most part, I do like it. I got some like good, genuine laughs out of it. And I never felt like it got grating. It occasionally falls flat, but they don't push it to where it gets grating. But probably the biggest thing in the first few hours that I had a problem with, there's points where they don't let you walk away from some dialogue moments, but these aren't like critical story dialogue moments. Like it's like a showpiece that they want you to sit there and experience for 40 seconds or a minute and a half, and you just have to sit there and watch that dialogue play out. And that really kind of bothered me because I feel like if you're so confident in the humor of this game, because that's what the entire game is centered around, that's what's going to bring you here, then let that humor stand on its own and be confident that the player is going to make the choice to sit there and listen to it. If it's not that good and the player isn't interested in listening to that, you've got a bigger problem than making them stay there. Then like the entire like core concept of the game has failed. Now, I don't want to say that in the sense that that's the only valid thing to this game. That the gameplay is fairly solid, and it was more fleshed out than I was expecting. So I don't think it's fair to say that this game is 100% just leaning on that humor, because the gameplay is there underneath of it. And there's some interesting mechanics, and it just feels relatively good as far as the shooting and the movement and everything. But that being said, again, there's definitely better shooters out there. So if you're not getting enjoyment out of the story and dialogue, then there's probably no point being there. And I would also assume that if you've seen footage of that and you assume that it's stupid and it's not for you, it's probably stupid and it's probably not for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's it, though, because right away. I remember, I don't know, last month, I think Jeff Gersman was trying to play it, who is not the type of person to enjoy this kind of thing. And he was just like, shut the fuck up, at this time. You know what I mean? And that's how I would be, too. His reaction would be, but Steve, you like Rick and Morty, and you kind of seemed not into this.
I do like Rick and Morty, and I think that could work. But if they're going to make me do that and not give me that choice, then no, you don't have faith in your idea at all.
And I do kind of wonder. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I'll give it a shot, but not for whatever you paid for it at this first impression
Game
you're
Pass.
giving up.
I paid the low price of $0 on Game Pass, luckily.
Oh, then maybe I'll pay the low price of Zero Pass on Royale with cheese eventually.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder too, because I never Rick and Morty fever hit. What was that, 4 or 5 years ago, when that was the real hot shit? And I never really got into it then. I watched it a few times and I thought it was fine. Maybe because I didn't get burnt out on that, because the humor obviously is very much the same here. It's not he's reinvented himself to do this game necessarily. So, if you really got into that 4 or 5 years ago and it's kind of, old hat by this point, then maybe that's another reason that I might be more receptive to it than others.
Yeah, but I like that, though. I like when someone has a thing, even if it's not my thing, and they just kind of do that thing, and that's it. For that decade when Michael Cera would show up in every movie, and it'd just be Michael Cera, right? That was his character.
Yeah. But I could also see getting burnt out on it.
Right? Yeah. That's why you haven't seen him lately. So yeah.
I was going to say, I felt I was burnt out after the third time he was Michael Cera.
But he's been Michael Cera since what? Arrested Development? He's always Michael Cera.
I feel like that died. Do you guys remember the movie This Is the End? Because I'm pretty sure he died in that movie, and that's kind of the last time I seen him. So maybe he actually died in that movie.
Yeah, he's done. Michael Cera, the character, is dead. The cinematic character. But yeah, I don't know, kind of how, I don't know, my favorite thing about Thor Ragnarok was that Jeff Goldblum played Jeff Goldblum. That was basically his character in that movie, and I like that. I don't know, it was fine with me. But anyway, Steve, I guess, had played a video. Did you ever play a Vidya?
Yeah, I played a video game before, but I kind of need to drag this out a second. Did you guys know that 12 Days of Christmas isn't just a song to pad out dead air around Christmas time on the radio?
I mean, it is one of our longer Christmas songs, so I kind of just feel like that's its function.
It's actually how long Christmas is in the Christian tradition. In fact, this weekend, we will be celebrating the Epiphany, and that's when Melchior, Gaspar, and Balthazar, the old men in Chrono Trigger, come to give Jesus presents. And that concludes the Christmas season.
You could have just said that was from the Bible, and I wouldn't have remembered. It's been so long since I played Chrono Trigger.
I'm making a joke for the people that still remember that. Okay, Andre, they're allowed.
I'm just saying. You could. I'm just saying. I was supporting you. I was being supportive for once.
And I'm using this as the excuse to talk about Cthulhu Saves Christmas. All right. Now that I've given myself this excuse to talk about a Christmas game in January, how was it? It was kind of bland and inoffensive. I did play the developers of Boyd's more recent game on our previous creative endeavor, Cosmic Star Heroine. I mean, and this kind of feels the same.
I remember that game.
It was neat. You cycle through moves your characters know, and then you defend to recharge your moves, and it forces you to go through move pools, but this is the same sort of engine. I think he's got a bunch of they got a bunch of games that run this way. And it doesn't help that everyone in this game is kind of dull, especially Cthulhu. There's a story building element where you have to pick places to go in Christmas Town. I refuse to call it anything else because who cares?
K-Town.
And in between chapters because Krampus took his powers or whatever. And I was hoping Cthulhu in particular was going to be an asshole, but he's mildly annoying at best. Like, so let's say you're going to go to the mall. He kind of just stands around and does a bad job. But why does he do a bad job? Does he knock over the displays? Does he eat the entire Hickory Farms kiosk? Does he tell all the kids Santa isn't real, even though he is in the continuity? And that's what this game is about? Does he just decide to be a jackass and tell the kids Santa isn't real? No, they kind of just say, he did a bad job, go away. And that's what, like, a lot of this is. You go to the soup kitchen, you think he's going to, like, eat all the soup and bread that's there. He just makes fun of poor people for 2 sentences instead. And I'm like, there's no edge to this. The Grinch is more badass than this guy.
Yeah, it just sounds like Cthulhu is just going to the soup kitchen. It's like, yeah, I'm going to steal their croutons or something. No croutons for you this Christmas.
But how's the actual game? You clear the dungeon, you participate in town shit until they tell you it's time to do the next dungeon. And then you do this until the game ends. And the game knows that it's not very good because in its crude attempt at, not crude, but bad attempt at humor, they suggest that you probably bought this in a humble bundle with a bunch of other games, unlike I did. And it's
so cynical. My God.
It is. And if it was good, it might be, okay. But, in that way, it's this is more tolerable than a Hallmark movie. As far as benign Christmas entertainment goes, it's over in a few hours, and I ended up with a game case that says Cthulhu Saves Christmas. And
you have a physical edition of this?
Yeah, I do. Because I like the stupid names, okay? And
you should have led with that so I could make fun of you.
You were gonna anyway.
I think he purposely didn't lead with it for that reason.
I'm pretty sure I should.
Never would have got a serious journalistic review out in that case.
No. And you know what? I definitely shared the cover with you people, so that's on you all for forgetting.
Okay, sorry.
But grading on the holiday curve, it's perfectly fine in that way. In that, I guess I watch Jingle All the Way, even though I know it's terrible every year.
Oh boy!
But I'm not going to bring this up anymore. I can't recommend people actually play it outside of that December time period. It's not timeless.
Well, I'm always a proponent of game length preceding like the quality of something, because like if something's like 2 hours long, it almost sometimes doesn't matter if it's bad. It's because it's like it's over and it's like whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, it sucked, but it didn't really waste my time.
Well, yeah, in this case it did not last long enough to be absolutely offensive, but at the same time I can't say, hey, go run out and buy Cthulhu Saves Christmas.
No, of course not. Remember we all played back in 1995 in our previous creative endeavor, and I was the only one who beat it. I was like, guys, it's 90 minutes long. Like, I understand it's not that good, but it's like, I don't know. Yeah. It's aesthetic as hell. It's like a weird vaporwave dream, and it's over. But you guys didn't even want to beat it. I was like, it's so short. Just whatever.
I pulled a Kevin playing Resident Evil 2 playing that game and wasted all my ammo.
Jeez.
Okay. Shit. I think we need to go on to break on that because that was very hurtful to Kevin and you need to apologize. Oh boy. I don't know about your everyone out there, audience, where you're at in this country or another one, but boy, is it cold outside. We're full of snow. Hopefully everyone's staying warm. Be right back. Okay, we're back. Speaking of weather, what's it been like up there, Kevin? Because here in Nevada, we've been getting slammed. I know the East Coast has also been getting slammed in the United States.
It's calmed down a little bit. The first 2/3 of December, we got a shitload of snow and it was very fucking cold. But now we're relatively mild winter, so it's okay here.
Yeah. Did Long Island get attacked by all the winter storms, Steve?
No, it's been unseasonably warm, actually.
So you're basically the Baja California of New York right now? Like you're like...
It was 60 degrees today.
Oh, no. What? Yo. Yeah. It's going to be 9 tonight.
I gotta say, I cannot fucking believe it is our first show of the year. We've been off for a month and we're coming back from break talking about the weather and not sexy showers.
No.
Nobody has heard about sexy showers for over a month. Are you saving that for after third act?
You know how fucking... one, maybe. Two, you know how fucking cold it is now when you get out of the shower lately? It's like, God, you know, like it's not shower season. That's for the summer.
So you're gonna deny sexy showers because it's too cold?
It's too cold. We can roll around in bed together naked. We just can't take a shower together.
Well, fuck. Looks like we're looking for a third, Steve.
Looks like you're looking for more people because I'm out of this too.
Wow.
All right. Send your sexy shower applications to findtime@gmail.com.
Findtimepodcast@gmail.com.
Oh, I didn't don't actually send your sexy shower applications, please.
Yeah, don't send pics. Just you know. All right. We got some big questions. Well, this is sort of an array of things we got here on this, Steve. Notice I'm directing this towards Steve while Kevin takes a nap, because we are going to talk about Nihon Falcon President. I spelled his name wrong here. Kondo-san he's going to be today. Shared a bunch of details about East 10 Nordics. That's the subtitle, Nordics, in a recent a recent issue of Famitsu. Steve, we have all the translated bits here of it. You can cherry pick whatever you want here. I mean, there's a lot of weird details. What jumps out on the page here?
A good place to start is where you began. Nordics is a term that means people of the North. East 10 is for the Nords. Okay, I got that out of my system.
We know there's not going to be any black people in this game for sure. Okay, let's take a bet right now. Will there be one black person in East 10? Let's take a bet.
Was Sahad black?
I mean, the Sahad was ethnic. I'll count any non-white person. Let's just say that they don't have to be black.
Look, we know that we know that 8's been tremendously popular. I think a Sahad cameo isn't out of the question while he's going fishing.
I don't know. It was said, remember at the end of the game, it was said that he lived out the rest of his days on his island, whatever the fuck or whatever. But also, that's not going to happen because one of the tidbits in this is that this takes place right after Ys 1 and 2. So Adol is like 17 or 18 years old. So this is way before any of that shit.
Oh, yeah. I'm not familiar with the Ys canon. Sorry. I've only played a handful of these.
You are playing Ys 2 right now, right? I guess, or still picking at it.
I'm in the early stages of Ys 2, among other projects. I'm sorry.
Well, you're gonna spend like, oh my god, I don't know about you, but when I got to Solomon Palace in Ys 2 on Virtual Console, I swear I felt like I spent a month there. I spent so long in that place.
I don't remember Ys 2 very well at all because I played the first one. I played the same Virtual Console version you did. 1 stuck out to me more than 2 did, and I don't know if that's good or bad.
1 is a very tight, probably a little more memorable experience. 2, it's not that there's anything wrong with 2. It just sort of continues the exact same thing you just did, whereas like 1 comes to like a perfect point, even though it's not complete. I don't know. I understand why you feel that way. But speaking of Ys 2, I think this is a character from East 2 because, like I said, we're only really mostly familiar with the TurboGrafx CD version, of which a number of names are changed. What is Dogi's name? Keith or Doug or something? Or
it is something very unremarkable.
Colin. Yeah. See, I don't know why I keep forgetting, but yeah, Dr. Flair Rawl is traveling with you in East 10 Nordics. I think that's the doctor in East that cures Fina. I think.
Is it?
I think. Don't totally quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. It's a solo game because, like, since E7, Adel has had that party of 3, which you've experienced in E8, and that's the case in 7, Celcita, and 9. But they're doing away with that finally. Adel is back to, I guess, a lone wolf. So where's Dogi? I wonder. Just waiting on the ship.
Well, I guess Patrick Seitz, I always mispronounce his last name, I'm sure, is going to be waiting there. Any minute now, he's going to need me to break through a wall with a hammer or a bomb, and I'll be ready.
When are they going to kiss, Adel and Dogi? Is it going to be East 12?
No, at the end of this, it's the anniversary game, so, you know, they made all those other announcements, like, I always forget, the Oath of Felghana is coming to Switch this year, and they made other announcements like that too. So you know, this is the year. Ease is doing all the milestones, and at the very end, they're going to kiss and realize this is it.
They're finally going to make that ship true.
Oh wait, no, this is early. This is early in the timeline, so maybe not.
I don't know. Oh, their love hasn't developed yet. Okay, one thing that I find very concerning about this, and I guess the last thing I have to say is, like, they keep talking about Switch. Since we're making this our Switch, this is our first Switch project. They're considering this their first Switch project. The Switch is 6 years old. It also has Ease games on it. They're making this game with Switch in mind. Guys, it's 2023.
Listen, I think what they really wanted to do is that they probably made this for Switch from the ground up at first, as opposed to other ones which started life as Vita projects.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you don't like looking at milestones, but Switch did outsell the PS4 and has been out longer. And if only very recently have I been able to walk into a store and buy a PS5. So if I was a smaller developer like Neon Falcom, maybe I wouldn't have wanted to throw all my eggs in the PS5 basket just yet.
I get that it's cross-gen or whatever, like, that's fine, but, like, to like target Switch feels very whatever. I guess it's just gonna have to be what it is, but man, I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot else to say about this. Some people were getting concerned about, like, oh, Adel's back to just one-on-one battles or something, and people were gonna, like, concerned it was gonna be a little like Souls-like or something, and I'm like, they're not gonna fucking do that.
Is it one? I thought there was 2, or is it just they switch off?
Oh, yeah, there is another character, but I think you fight one at a time. I didn't really understand what they were talking about that in regard, but you go ahead. You seem to like this aspect of it.
No, I just find it a little cozy that we're going back to just 1 or even 2, because I'm more familiar with these earlier games, even though I played through 8. Or, you know, even you might recall last year when we were talking about Final Fantasy 16, or where we, or at least I, thought that they were going to be brave enough and make it a one-man band until Square was like, oh, no, you guys have a party. It's okay. And, or, you know, maybe it's just how, you know, Issei just had a guy that shat himself after the, you know, and then after that, it just went downhill as far as the party members went.
I don't think Sahad ever shit himself. I think he only pissed himself. He went and remember, what's her name? The prissy, night lady got all offended because he said he went to go take a shit in the ocean or something like that. And she's like, you men are so disgusting, or whatever she was like.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But I feel like there is those first 3 characters, what's her name, Sahad and Dana, and then after that it was like filler. Like, oh, geez, I guess maybe we need more characters. No, I guess this was okay, guys.
That's one thing I think you will like more about East 9 is that I think all the party member characters are a lot more, like, characters than 8. Yeah. A lot of people like 8 more, and I totally understand why, but I think I enjoyed 9 more. That's not the only reason, but 9 should be on your docket soon, because I think this Ys 10 comes out in September, or as they say, as is planned. So
I have a loaded queue, as they say. Lots of things are as they say right now on this podcast.
Yeah, as they say, as is said by Adol's travel logs,
as was foretold.
All right, Kevin, wake up. We're going to talk about the Game Awards from
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree with all of the Ys stuff.
Kevin, what's your favorite flavor of Wise potato chip?
There is no Wise potato chip.
Oh, yes, there is.
Did you guys see that thing from like 6 months ago? I don't know if I was the one to link it to you, where it was like the Ys like dental clinic or something like that.
Yes.
Do you remember that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they used the same font and everything. I'm like, y'all are going to get sued. Oh my God. We want to talk about the Game Awards. Yes, that was last month and it feels like 6 months ago, but we just wanted to go down some bullet points of stuff that we really enjoyed about this show, or at least I did. And that's kind of where I want to start, guys. I thought this was the best one so far since when did they started doing this? 2013, 14? I think this was the best one in terms of like reveals and like the show and just like presenting the trailers and information. What did you guys think? Because I actually thought this was great.
I mean, as far as that goes, sure, because, I always disagree with the awards.
Oh, we're not going to talk about the actual awards. Sorry if you came here for that, but we don't care.
Even as far as the reveals, I feel like I'm just jaded because every year Jeff is like, it's going to be the biggest, craziest fucking year ever.
He has to say that.
And it's always job. Like, I don't know. I feel always let down. Like, I don't think it was, it's hard to compare to other years this year necessarily. I guess I wasn't like fully blown away, but there was some good stuff.
There's some really good stuff.
I don't know why they keep calling this the never ending story. They made me leave the theater.
You left the theater before the horse died. Oh, did I spoil it? Okay. We got to talk about one award, though, Steve, because if any regular listener of this show knows that we did a Bayonetta 3 post-game show last month, and we were very nonplussed. We were let down by that game big time. Bayonetta 3 won Action Game of the Year.
Did they play the build that was in the trailers? Because
did they play the Switch Pro build from like 6 months ago?
Because otherwise, this was clearly to announce the spinoff, which I don't hate how it looks. I know a lot of people don't like how it looks, but we were very scarred by Bayonetta 3, and it's like you should all listen to it, but they're not doing great over there in Platinum right now, and here they are going. Here's this. Give us money.
I don't know, man. I'm not interested in this game at all. I don't mind the way it looks, but I just don't like this kind of game. So I don't know. Maybe if it gets cheap someday, I'll try it. And if it's like fairly performant and doesn't run like ass, maybe. But one thing that tickled me pink, besides Tekken 8, yes, graphics on PlayStation 5, excuse me, Kevin, graphics on PlayStation 5, baby. I'm sorry, I forgot last time.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I am a From Software hipster at heart. Everyone knows this. So to see Armored Core 6 made me so happy. Unbelievably happy. I'm so ready for this. This is legitimately one of my most anticipated games right now. Like, honestly. I cannot wait to play new Armored Core. It is cross-gen. So, but hopefully they make it, it's not like Elden Ring where they actually really do take advantage of like the hardware and spec. Not that Armored Core was ever like the biggest looker, but at least come on, let's have a good frame rate, right? So that was exciting. You guys, I don't know. You ever been Armored Core people?
I've never. I was curious when you got all fired up about this. Is this series worth going back to in 2023?
I think that. I mean, just thinking about it off the top of my head, I haven't played one since PS. No, I guess I did play the 360 one, and that sucked. But like back in the day, especially like Armored Core 2 and 3, sure, I think they could hold up. They're probably a little dated now, but I don't see why they wouldn't be as good as they ever were back then, which is, of course, your mileage may vary. So,
I was kind of surprised just in general at the reception of this because I just didn't. Armored Core as a series has just never really been on my radar. I didn't realize there was as much fanfare for it as apparently there is.
Yeah, it's just, and it's been a long time. And not only has it been a long time, it's been a long time since a good one. So we're just ready for it. I'm assuming Steve has never armored a core.
I have never armored a core, but just because I never had a thing that would armor a core until now, but it does look nice.
Yeah, looks great.
And then, maybe I shouldn't say and then because I don't know if we're going in order, but I was pretty fucking jazzed for a little bit when they started showing off the Dune game. Did you guys watch the Dune movie that came out a couple years ago?
I didn't.
Oh, no, it was fine. It was fine.
See, I never read the books. I'd never seen the original Dune movie. I watched it on a whim, and I fucking loved that movie. So I was super stoked about this game until it came up at the end of the trailer, and it says an open world MMO, which really kind of that in no uncertain terms means not a Kevin game.
Did you see Square's going whole hog on NFTs still? It's like, this isn't 2021. Did anyone give them the memo?
Oh no, they're in too deep because they're a few months behind, unlike us with crypto trends. They gotta pretend to be committed.
They'll figure it
at
out.
least until
Okay.
March.
Yeah. No, I'm biased here towards Dune. I watched the 1984 movie on VHS sometime, and I thought it was so boring. So I didn't want to see the new movie. I'm just kind of like permanently put off. Yeah, I don't.
The new movie is great.
Yeah,
so
I still want to give that a
FYI.
shot just because it looks so good. I think it like every trailer is all like, wow, this movie looks incredible, like cinematography wise and all that shit. But anyway.
But I was jazzed about the Hades 2. That was the highlight of the announcements for me. Neither of you guys have played Hades yet, I don't think, hey?
I need to. It's bumped on the list now. There's a lot of things that have bumped up due to other events going on.
I watched Ven play some Hades. It looked all right, and we generally like that kind of rogue-like or light gameplay, so it seems appealing, and it seems like a cool game. I just don't know why it's such a big deal. Maybe I'll have to just play it. I just don't understand why this is like so much better than any other game of its type. I guess that's the thing for me, but I don't know. Maybe if I sat down and play it, I would get it. So maybe I should.
It's sure got a fucking vibe to that game, I think, like a very distinct tone to that game that I think really sets it over the top.
Okay. I mean, I'm sure it's no boyfriend dungeon, but
Well, maybe not.
Okay.
What is?
What is? Okay. Game of the year speech. That kid comes up there and makes this like weird Jewish Bill Clinton joke or whatever and like flees. Like, why are they acting so sanctimonious about that kid? Like, and you remember Jeff tweeted like, the individual who interrupted our game of the year moment has been arrested and shit. Like he was being so like, they were being so stodgy about it. It's like, come on.
I kind of get that though. I mean, that's a pretty like just for like optics wise for him to be able to say like, we're taking this seriously. So we can't just have fucking whoever wants like get up on stage. It is a little bit of a security concern. So I get why he has to come at it from that angle.
I remember in the few days afterwards, there were a few articles online because, December is a bad month for game news. Like, this kid was on a number of far-right message boards, and he was going to be on there longer and rant on before they were cutting him off. But then the more we looked into it, the more he was just a dumb kid taking advantage of lax security to talk about hip-hop rabbi Bill Clinton or whatever that was.
Yeah, and people thought it was like some sort of anti-Semitic thing, but no, the kid appears to be Jewish. And I think Jason Schreier, interviewed him on like Zoom or something like that. And like, I think it was Jason Schreier because I think he said that he said something to him in Hebrew and he like understood it, but then like pretended he didn't understand it or whatever like that. Like, but he kind of like got him. You know what I mean? So like I don't know. The whole situation was, I don't know. I just thought it was funny. Maybe I'm being irresponsible here or whatever, but like.
It was one of the highlights of the Game Awards.
Yeah. Like, come on, man.
And as opposed to, getting a Forspoken demo. Thanks a lot.
Wow.
Are we doing this now?
Yeah, we got to do this now because this guy is chomping at the bit to shit on Forspoken. So,
and I don't blame him because I was chomping at the bit to shit on Forspoken as well.
No, you know why? Because we were all on the same team a few months ago when they did that stupid ass trailer. So let me get this straight, and we were all united. And then they pulled out this other trailer where Andre said, "You know what? Maybe we all need to give this demo a chance."
Okay, okay. You notice, though, ever since that "so let me get this straight" thing, they haven't let her talk in any media, any of them.
But I got some bad news for you, Andre. They let her keep talking like that in the game.
Yeah, no, but he wouldn't even know that much because he took the easy way out and jacked the dialogue down to 0, whereas Kevin, like a man, jacked the dialogue up to 11.
Oh my God.
So I could get the full experience and report back to the people.
For science's sake, I left it on the default. And listen, I feel like they started this demo a few hours in, right? They give you a YouTube trailer of the story so far. I'm like, what if I wanted to actually see this for myself? And then, okay, and then I feel like the girl or the talking cape or whatever weapon she's talking to, neither one of these people are liking to. I could really go for a Knish right now. Well, I don't know what that is. And I'm like, oh God, this is terrible.
Yeah.
I'd hate to crank this up. If you had to put a dial for this, maybe you should have spent some time back in the writing room making the characters likable.
But there was definitely a shift in tone since that trailer, because even with the dialogue jacked up to 11, now I'm not saying that I like that interaction between the two, but they I feel like even since then, they very purposefully made it much less cringe because nothing was near as bad as that trailer was.
This is going to sound like a weird complaint. Okay, first of all, I did like the demo just fine. I didn't love it. I didn't oh man, I got to buy this day one, even though I'm kind of thinking about it just because it's January and there isn't dick else to do. But I enjoyed the demo for what it was. It was perfectly fine. Okay. And yes, I did turn the dialogue down to essential or whatever the mode was. Only talk when you need to talk.
Wimp.
But yeah, I am. I'm sorry. I just can't take it. But did anyone else feel, and this is not something I don't think any of us ever say, especially since we're on a podcast here where we say fuck, but did anyone feel like the language and tone of Forspoken was very weird? Because she's going up to these ruins, this ancient place, and she's like, yo, what the fuck? This is fucking crazy. And whatever, look, that's what we would say when we do that. But it's this, I always thought it was strange that this game is rated mature basically just for language, because it's yeah, okay, you're taking a real world girl and putting her here, but it's I don't know. It just felt very adolescent in a way. I don't know. It was weird to me.
We are picking on this girl a lot, so why don't I talk about the game, the actual game?
That's it. No one. I mean, no one agrees with me. This felt adolescent.
I think that's a valid complaint, but to be honest, I really liked the gameplay. It was much better than I was expecting, so I think maybe that just kind of overshadowed it for me.
Okay.
No, I'm with you, Andre, because the whole thing was miserable.
See, come on, man. If you don't like it, fine. But come on, miserable? This game is way better than miserable.
Okay. First off, I'm going to put on my accessibility white knight suit for a second and tell you the text enlargement size is bullshit because they only give it to you for some of the hub and not the subtitles. And, I guess thank goodness for the subtitles part at the end. But, what the hell is that in the year of our Lord 2023? I guess one good thing this game finally did was make a conscious choice for me to move my couch 1.5 feet forward, I guess, in this so I can be more accommodating to you, not the other way around, the people making the video game. And then the adaptive
No, just you. You're just you. Go on.
And the adaptive triggers, my best friends, they're going against me too, because they want you to keep wailing on these guys by pressing the buttons over and over again. But then they're fighting back. So I'm like, so do you want me to hold the buttons down, or do you want me to just keep mashing them in?
I think you mash it to like the stress point to like do like rapid attacks, but then you pull it in to do the charge attack, then you let go to charge. You know what I mean?
This is also my fault because I didn't do the tutorial. I'm sorry. Life is short. I don't have time for these tutorial islands that I knew this game was going to take me on with like these other demos did. We need more Breath of the Wilds and God of Wars and less all of these demos that we've been playing on the show where we have 30 minutes for that's just that's just how to play the game.
30 minutes. Okay, look, I still don't agree with this. I didn't agree with this when you said this about Valkyrie Elysium. Had to remember the name there for a second. And I don't do it. It's fine. It's a demo. You don't need to know all the mechanics. I guess maybe you do, since you didn't know that it charges down when you really press it in. But I don't know. I feel like that like the actual mechanics of it don't really matter that much right now in this like sort of small vertical slice, if you want to call it that.
Hey, maybe my opinion will change in another 6 years like it did with Final Fantasy 15. There's always that hope, but ask me again in 2029. Here in 2023, I have way too much else to play to be concerned about Forspoken.
But it's pretty.
It is pretty.
Okay, yeah, say that.
I got other pretty games coming. Okay?
I didn't. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Forspoken, and you're going to call Forspoken pretty before we move on.
Forspoken is not the only pretty game coming.
Oh my fucking God.
It's not even the only pretty game coming in January.
I don't want to move on too quickly from when Steve was talking about like this YouTube intro trailer, as he put it, because I found that like comically hilarious when they jump in there and they're like, there's a girl and she's from New York and she's transported to a magical kingdom and don't ask any questions and she's got a magic bracelet and then the population relies on her and she's got magic and go. And It was like a very brief affair.
Yeah. It was
don't think about it.
Like, buy me a Knish first.
It didn't. I know I've said this before, but I'm sorry. I just really wish they had faith in whatever this was before they added this stuff. Obviously, when this game was just a tech demo, Project Athia, none of that stuff was there. They could have just had a nice fantasy game. I don't know why they had to make it so like, oh, is no one going to get into it if we don't have like a real person from the real world? I don't know. This is weird. Anyway.
We need more relatable characters.
We really don't, actually. I don't need to relate to anybody. You give me your weird space magic fucking fantasy shit and then I will be satisfied. I don't need to relate to you. Anyway, go on.
No, that was my final
that's
point.
it. I agree with that sentiment.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know. Again, if I get bored enough this month, I may play it, but who knows? Okay, real quick. We all saw this about a month ago, kind of broke right after our last show last year. I'll just read Phil Spencer's tweet exactly. Microsoft has entered into a 10-year commitment to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo following the merger of Microsoft and Activision Blizzard King. Microsoft is committed to helping bring more games to more people, however they choose to play. Shots fired at Sony, big time. Yo,
just unbelievable.
How big of a bitch does this make Jim Ryan, the president of Sony? Like, seriously, like how much does this bitch him out? Because like they only did this to fuck him over, right?
Mm-hmm. You guys know those old Looney Tunes shorts where someone really gets one over on a patsy and they briefly turn into a donkey marked jackass before reverting back to normal.
I love that gag.
That's been Jim Ryan the past few months.
I love that gag. You know my favorite one of that ever? Remember the two guys are stuck on the deserted island? One guy looks at the other, he turns to a pork chop.
Yeah.
One guy looks back at the other, he turns into a hot dog. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I love that one. This is my favorite. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is a total referendum on Jim Ryan. Like, he may not be cut out for this. I thought this for a long time. Like, I've never liked him as the head of Sony SCEA, if you will. I just don't think this guy is it. He's not Don Matrick, right? But he's also like, I don't know, man. I don't know about this guy. But I guess the big question here, and what is funnier, basically, did Microsoft pursue this, or did Nintendo was gonna like kind of sneakily be like, ha ha ha, we'll make Sony look shitty because it'll be funny, or like because they don't care about Call of Duty, they don't give a shit about Call of Duty. No one's gonna buy this on Switch or the successor to Switch.
Listen, a decade ago when Wii U was messing up, or even on Switch, when Switch first came out, and maybe they needed a few more, I could see Nintendo trying to reach out and make sort of this happen. But no. This is absolutely Microsoft just making a paper trail for the FTC and then having the added bonus of going, oh no, we're willing to play ball. See, we made a deal with Nintendo. I don't see what the hell Sony's talking about. Nah.
Yeah, they have it over them now. This is so over whoever initiated this. I still like to think that Nintendo just got a light bulb all of a sudden and just be like, hey, you know what? It'd be funny. Like, let's just,
I hope that's what happened.
I do hope that's what happened too. But yeah, I don't know. Not a whole lot to say about this. I just thought it was hilarious that how bad this makes Sony look. Anyway, so Kevin.
Oh,
I know. I'm sorry, but
I'm a little salty about this one.
So
as you should.
I'll set you up here. So, Sports Story came out the end of last year, and just surprise for Christmas! It's Sports Story. You know, the sequel we've all been waiting for. It is not the sequel we've all been waiting for. This game is buggy as hell and feels unfinished in many ways. You decided to take the plunge. Me and Steve have not. So you tell us your saga. What's been going on?
And I didn't even know that it was buggy when I first tried it. It launched on December 23rd, and I bought it on December 23rd. I didn't get around to booting it up until I think the 27th. I thought I'd give it a try, and it would be my late Christmas season game. And I, despite numerous tries, have not made it through the intro video. It severely glitches out. I've tried multiple ways. I've tried waiting exactly until the prompt pops up to push A to move through the text. I've tried mashing A to move through the text. I've tried deleting and reinstalling the game. I've tried deleting the save data with no success. And I would get into a spot where I could control one version of the character of the two that are on screen long before you're supposed to be able to control the character and walk in a blacked out environment before even supposed to being able to control the game.
Yeah, that looked like you were running through space, that video that you see.
Yeah, there's just the like little cutscene area, which we'll come to find out the cutscene system is broken. So I decided I'm just gonna leave this until it sounds like it's more stable, because looking at Sidebar's Twitter, there was numerous people commenting on their tweets saying that they were having other severe glitches, quite often game breaking. So whatever, I thought I'll play this in a few months when it's more stable. It kind of kills the excitement, but so be it. And then a few days later, a video popped up where somebody found a hidden room that was themed as a game development room, which they allegedly was the development studio for Golf from the first from Golf Story, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
And the developers of Golf made some fairly damning statements. So I'll read some of these verbatim. You might say we're experiencing a troubled development. You might also say somebody kept requesting features and my original vision no longer exists. One might even venture to say we should have made the game work instead of adding features. The menu is still broken, among other things. Again, it is specifically referenced at one point that the cutscene system is still broken.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty damning, and it's kind of interesting as well, because this I mean, for how buggy the game is, I guess it's not surprising somebody found it so quickly, but I watched the video of what they had to manipulate to get into that room, and it's not like it was just like I don't think it was meant to be found. So especially at this point, I'm curious with the additional layer of very clear frustration from the employees at Sidebar. How much more damaging is it to them beyond what it would have just been if they had released a buggy game and it was kind of, sorry, we'll fix it without, the obvious internal strife going on underneath.
Go ahead, Steve.
We had a third act segment however long ago when we landed on hidden dev rooms. This isn't a new practice. I know this is we weren't supposed to find it, and this is very raw, even compared to some of the Pokemon ones that have popped up over the years. But yet, I don't think this is going to do tremendous damage to Sidebar, presuming fixes are on the way. It's not great the game released this way, but we're in this fairly aware social media age where games cost a lot to make. There's a lot of crunch and burnout that still exists, and many projects spin out of control if they don't get a handle on it. Listen to our Bayonetta 3 episode today. But honestly, this is fine. I'm not fine, but they can turn. I think they can turn this around. Maybe leave the dev room in there on purpose, because why not?
It's so strange. So I just wonder what happened here. They were like, okay, we're going to get this game out for Christmas or whatever. They just had this very hard deadline that they just had to stick to no matter what or something, or just like, I don't know why they would do this unless the game was actually really finished, and it's not. But to overcome glitches like this that are so game breaking, you better be basically one of the best games of all time. You know what I mean? Because like otherwise you're not really going to overcome this start. I mean, like you can make something out of it, but I don't know. Think about like Fallout New Vegas. I remember I had that at launch on 360. That game was so fucking broken. I told you guys probably, I got stuck inside a casino off the strip for 6 weeks. I couldn't leave. All it would do was load forever, and then I couldn't do anything. Like, and that game is one of the best games I have ever played. And I got stuck in a casino for 6 weeks and I couldn't play the game. That's how good that game is, right? I don't know if Sports Story is going to be that good. So, you know, I don't know.
I don't know. Just thinking about it from like a personal perspective, you know, after playing Golf Story, I would have had nothing but good things to say about Sidebar. But, you know, looking back, just knowing, like, it seems like it was almost purposefully mismanaged, as you know, especially when they talk about like continuing to implement new features when it's not even working. I think in my mind that's done like permanent damage.
The way that they were adding features, it almost sounds like that might have happened during COVID, because this was announced like, if memory serves, this was announced at an Indie Direct, like November 2019-ish.
Yeah.
And like, it's going to come out soon. And then we had all just assumed like, man, this is going to be great in winter 2020, where nothing bad is ever going to happen ever. And I am sure that while they were, you know, while the world was fucked, they all got bright ideas to be like, what if we threw in fishing? There's that one guy that likes that. And that's what happened.
All right. Yeah, I hope this game gets fixed soon. I did really like Golf Story, so I want this to be good too. Even if it's not as good, I just feel like it should be fine enough. Steve, big question.
Oh yeah, guys. Bandai Namco's got a second round of job postings for an untitled 3D action game in collaboration with Nintendo. Wow. I think the first round of this was like last April, and we didn't talk about it because, you know, real news was happening, but now this is the second round of hiring for this.
Didn't this happen in like 2019 or late 18, where there was like Ridge Racer rumors and shit? Do you remember this? No. I feel like this was a thing, because I remember Ridge Racer. Now that's not an action game, but I remember that rumor. So I thought this was like just another round of that, but just like years later.
This is another round of something from last year, because I remember 3D action game.
Okay.
And I remember 3D action game because I sprung right to Kid Icarus, and everyone's like, no, it's not. But now I think it's really going to be Kid Icarus, because Sakurai's worked with them before. It's his adopted baby. And I don't know if you guys have been watching his very good YouTube channel, but he had an episode a while ago where I think he was talking about the way he handled difficulty in that game. And at the end, he did the whole whimsical, oh boy, oh geez, it'd sure be nice if someone remade that game for the Switch or something, huh, guys? like, just it would be something, wouldn't it? Like, You would not get to do that if no one was at least considering it.
He says that as like he superimposes a hotted from Meteos just spinning around the background, just like, just real fast. You guys remember that? I wonder if he ever thinks about Meteos. He needs to know that that's like the best Falling Blocks puzzle game of all time. I really hope he knows that in his heart. I don't care. I don't care how many people appreciated the game or not. I thought that was the absolute fucking best. Anyway, no, I don't know what they could be working on here. If it's for Nintendo, that could mean just literally anything. I don't really have a guess. I do remember those Ridge Racer, like I said, those rumors from some years ago now. That's not an action game, but honestly, that's what I would want because I'm that kind of person. Are we sure this doesn't mean like ports? Like they're going to squash Tekken 8 for the Switch version or something like that? Or, I mean, I don't know, but
I don't know. Everyone keeps changing the names of genres these days, so who cares, right?
I don't know.
The 3D action game. They announced Ridge Racer, and then Captain Falcon jumps out of the car and starts punching another window.
If that happens, I will be so mad. You have no idea. I will lose my mind, not in a good way. Don't ever do that to Ridge Racer, Namco, ever. Wow, I'm sorry. I didn't know I was going to get so mad. Just before we go to break real quick, we always do this at the beginning of the year. So Nintendo Direct when? I mean, we got Fire Emblem coming out this month. I mean, I feel like something's got to happen soon, and not February.
The month. February's always the month.
What are they going to do about Fire Emblem? It's just going to come out then?
They already squeezed in they squeezed in the season pass announcement at Game Awards. They like tacked it on at one of their commercial breaks.
Has there ever been a full-on Direct in January? Like a big one?
Not since Switch came out.
I feel like this is the perfect time, though, if they're ever going to do it. I know I say that every year, but like, come on, January Direct. Start the year off like fresh and good. I don't know. I just feel like it's so much better than February, but what the fuck do I know, huh?
Andre's needy.
Oh, wait, no, I lied. They did that one mini direct in 2018 where
Chibi Robo on fire.
Chibi Robo was on fire was supposed to mean Dark Souls was coming.
Chibi Robo on fire. That was so good.
I don't think mini direct counts.
Okay, but that was actually a pretty packed direct. I remember that feeling.
A lot
pretty
of games
good.
into that.
Yeah, they that was pretty good. Was that the one where they said the fractured butthole? Like the announcer said it very carefully. he was trying his best not to say the fractured butthole. The fractured butthole. He's very enunciated. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Almost said we're back party people, but I feel like I can only say party people off the top. Am I allowed to say party people here?
It's better than saying we're back, a dinosaur story.
Have you ever seen that?
Unfortunately.
Oh, I've seen that lots when I was a kid. I loved that movie.
Really? Was there a video game?
Unfortunately, you fucking high-nosed animation snob. Back off.
Well,
We're Back was great.
Before you were born, Kevin, the hot dinosaur movie was A Land Before Time.
I've also seen that too.
I've watched that one a million times. We watched the first couple, but then they made like 14 of them, and it's like, okay, enough. Mm-hmm. But the first couple of them we really liked.
My parents bought my sister the VHSs for those religiously until probably like 12 or so. We had a fucking stack of Land Before Times.
Wow.
None of them held a candle to We're Back though.
Oh my god, we found the one "We're Back" a Dinosaur Story fanboy around here.
Well, to
There's
be fair,
fucking lots. All the listeners that are feeling offended, you're not alone. It is good. You're right.
well, to be fair, I was also going to be the guy that said, "Well, only Land Before Time 1 was good. After that, it was just direct-to-video garbage."
I mean, it was the second one wasn't as good as the first, but it was still. I thought it was still good. But the third one was kind of like
I thought Steve was gonna attack the Land Before Time for being derivative of Pocahontas.
Even though it came out first.
Even though Dances with Wolves came out like years later, which definitely had blue people in vast oceans and pterodactyls you could fly on. Totally the same thing. Absolutely the same thing.
Because that's the metric we're going to use. All right.
Yes, that is the metric we're running on. Because that's what I want when I go see Avatar, Steve. I want to look at cool shit. I don't want to look at Dances with Wolves. I don't want to look at Kevin Costner.
Okay. Then don't be having all the critics come to my house and say Avatar's the most original movie of 2009.
Literally nobody said that. Nobody has
that.
ever said that. Come on. No one would ever speak such words. Everyone knows it's Neo Fern Gully.
I feel like people only said that like 2 or 3 years later because anyway, don't we have something else to do?
Yeah, I got something.
Hey, if I'm getting shit on for my Resident Evil 2, you can take a little bit of Avatar heat here.
Yeah,
I sure can. Give me all the Avatar heat. I don't give a shit. Your movie about Blue Cat sucks.
Wow. I'm going to ask you.
Unobtainium is a stupid mineral. They should have came up with a better name. All those writers in the writers section, and they couldn't come up with a better name for your.
Yeah, well, if they called it
pretend
obtainium,
mineral.
it would make a lot of fucking sense. So
I'm going to ask you guys a filthy question about the blue people off the air, but that's for later. So,
okay, the answer is yes.
So I kind of have a random topic here. Just throw this out there. Hey guys, you remember Yoshi's Crafted World? Anyone play that?
I played the demo, but it slid right by me.
Kevin?
Yeah, I didn't play it. I remember it.
No one seems to give a shit about this game. And not only that, a lot of people seem to dislike it in general. I watch the guys who split off from Game Explain, Good Vibes Gaming. I watch them every so often. And they did a video not too long ago about the worst Nintendo games. I was shocked when they attacked Yoshi's Crafted World. I was like flabbergasted. I was like, yo, this is really their opinion of this. Like, that is incredible. I didn't even know anyone could hate it. And I don't think most people hate it. Maybe that was just their opinion. But what happened to this game? Like no one even thinks about it.
I missed it because I was short on cash at the time, but then I never picked it up.
Yeah, but
I assume most people wrote it off as too cutesy.
Yeah, but here's the thing. And this is like Yoshi's Woolly World before this, made by the same studio, a decent sized hit, and people really like that game. But I feel like that's kind of like you have to like it because you had a Wii U and you must play the new Nintendo game that's on it because you don't have anything else. I feel like that's what that game had going for it. If you were to swap Yoshi's Crafted World and Yoshi's Woolly World and put like Crafted World on Wii U and Woolly World on Switch, I feel like people would have the same reaction. People played Woolly World because it was a Yoshi game to play. It was a new thing to play on Wii U. Like, did you play Woolly World, Steve?
I did, but I also felt it, and yes, it was a small calendar thing, but I also felt it was one of the better Yoshi games in a long time. Unlike a lot of people, I did play most, if not all, of the Yoshi games, good, bad, or indifferent along the way, and that did stand out.
I agree. I think Yoshi's Woolly World is really great too. And if you were to ask me, do I think Crafted World is as good? Probably not, but it's still like, it's really close. It shouldn't definitely be anything that anyone should forget about, especially that it's using like Unreal 4 on Switch at 60 frames a second. It's kind of a technical wonder. Yeah, it's running at a really low resolution, but like the look of that game, and I'm sorry to say the pun, but the craft of it is pretty remarkable. I think that game looks insanely good. I don't know. I've always thought it was weird that this game got forgotten about more than like Kirby Star Allies or, some other Switch games that sort of get lost in the shuffle. I don't understand what it is about Yoshi's Crafted World that's made everybody go, whatever.
It's March. It's that March time slot that causes it to just disappear into the Phantom Zone.
Apparently, I played Yoshi's Woolly World on 3DS, and on new 3DS, it runs like a dream. It runs 60 frames a second. It runs pretty much as good as Wii U and looks pretty good. So I remember people complaining about that port, but on new 3DS, it's enhanced. So that's how I experience it, and I love that game. I don't know, man. I just feel that Crafted World gets the shaft. It is pretty ingenious the way it really fully utilizes that its theme. And doesn't really skimp out on anything. I don't know. I guess this is like everyone go play Yoshi's Crafted World and let's have a renaissance here because I don't know why this got lost.
It's hard for me not having play. Is it more Yoshi's Woolly World?
Yeah, kind of.
Is that kind of the like? I feel like in a lot of ways, people, some people regard Odyssey or Mario Galaxy 2 as being the superior one, but I think that's much forgotten in favor of the first one. Is it kind of a more of the same syndrome?
Maybe, and I like Galaxy 2 more personally, but like, yeah, I guess so. But like, you can also like they use the actual 3D space this time since it's sort of a diorama look. You could throw eggs into the background, if you will, and stuff like that. So I don't know, man. I thought it was cool. I don't know. Maybe if anyone out there is like, it doesn't also really likes Yoshi's Crafted World, doesn't understand why it got the shaft, let me know, because Jesus. Anyway, we're going to do a place your bets in a second, but Steve, you got something?
Yeah, guys, I don't know if you've been following this anymore after we did the other time that they decided to, just keep shitting out week after week, but that thing that HBO and Discovery I was afraid it was going to happen, is happening. They just keep throwing out more of my cartoons out the window, guys. The back end of Flintstones is going to go away. Not that I care about Flintstones, that back end of Flintstones so much, because that's when the Great Gazoo shows up, and I could take or leave those dum-dum. But we're going to lose the end of the week, I think, where by the time this goes up, we're going to lose like a good chunk of those great Looney Tunes, including What's Opera Doc. Oh, everyone likes that one, Steve. What are you talking about? I think it's overrated, actually. Well, maybe you're overrated, listener at home. Maybe you should.
Are you arguing with our listeners with yourself right now? Does that what just happened on Fine Time?
Yes, it is. Especially
they're not going to leave us positive reviews on iTunes for that kind of shit.
Listen, I'm salty because that means Doug Dodgers is leaving too, and I just want easy ways to watch my fucking cartoons in the year 2023. I shouldn't have to feel like a dirty pervert in 1970s Times Square trying to buy a Looney Tunes DVD just to just because I want to watch Rabbit of Seville. I mean, what the fuck are they all doing? And then I'm reading more online, and they're saying, "Oh, they don't have the rights to." What do you mean you don't have the rights to it? You are all under the same fucking umbrella. Just carry the check from one end of the hallway to the other, and make the. I just don't get it.
So what do you think? You would probably be the best of us to make a guess. What do you think is the actual reasoning for this?
I would say it's because they don't want to pay people, but I mean, who would need to be paid? But I know most of the people that were on the shows are dead, so I guess it's different production companies or whatever, or it's just to clear out space or say that or reach that other point where they can say, "Oh no, HBO Max is underperforming. Time to load on more DIY shows." And I don't know. I don't like
when you say clear out space, you mean like server space just for hosting those shows?
Yeah, because I mean, how much space is is any of this taking up? Because
God, I would hope something like that wouldn't even play a factor.
We're running out of room on all these digital files. I'm like,
is there a push button code you can do on HBO Max on your Roku TV where you can access the racist World War II era Looney Tunes?
Those are not there.
Okay.
although I'm sure Cartoon Twitter will yell at me if I don't bring up that. Yes, they took away both Justice League cartoons last month too. So, and then that's another big nasty gash there.
I don't get it.
I'm mad, guys. I just want to watch my cartoons.
It just doesn't make any sense. None of it makes any sense.
You're gonna have to go buy them all on 4K Blu-rays now, Steven.
Yeah, if they sold them.
I wish they did. I would even get some of those myself.
I got honestly. A few best of Looney Tunes sitting around, but that's hardly comprehensive.
All right, you've bitched. I pleaded with the world to play Yoshi. You bitched about the Looney Tune,
and now the roosters are coming home to roost for your guys' shitty bets. Is what's happening.
Oh, yes, we're gonna do place your bets. I wish we had music for place your bets.
We should.
We don't.
I always want.
Okay, you know what? Hold on. Let me rummage around. I think I found just the thing.
Oh, that's great. That's perfect.
Okay. Oh yeah, baby.
I love
Let's
that.
Do it.
That song that has been selected in post production. All right, before we start with new bets, we're gonna resolve the bets that were due at the end of the year. So starting off with Steve, he was given Nintendo provides a release window for Super Switch by the end of the year, 4-1 odds, and Steve put $250 on there.
I knew you went big.
Andre, did Nintendo provide a release window for Super Switch by the end of the year?
No.
Lose $250 gone. Andre, this one I've been waiting for, and we kind of already came to a conclusion for this. He fessed up. Andre honestly considers Sonic Frontiers as within the top 50% of Sonic games, which he has confirmed is indeed true. And he put
and I ranked them all.
Yeah, he put $200 on that with 2-1 odds, which puts Andre up. Which this is a little frustrating. Andre is the only one to win any bets so far. He won the GoldenEye remake and Sonic Frontiers until Kevin bet $200 on 2-1 odds that Elden Ring takes home Game of the Year at Game Awards 2022. Now, I think you guys are even pretty. I would have given me 1.5 to 1 odds for that, to be honest. But Kevin, I think
you wanted a little more, but I was like, nah, we felt 2 was appropriate.
You felt bad for me after I dumped $250 on 10-1 odds for Mario Strikers Battle League getting over 90 on Metacritic.
I can't believe you thought that.
And now the game
well, you know what? I didn't think that. But when you gave me 10-1 odds, it was too good. It was too good to pass up. Like
that's why we had to, because we knew there was no way.
Yeah, that was kind of a go big or go home moment. I went.
Yeah, it was worth it.
So we just a refresher for our end of Q1 bets. Steve put $150 on 4-1 odds that Disney's next live action remake that's announced would be Pocahontas, which he selected as his choice. Andre put $50 on 10-1 odds with Padres win the World Series. Now, I know that one's resolved. Okay, I'm going to assume that's not true. If I'm being honest, I don't necessarily know how that turned out.
They did not win.
I remember.
If the Padres won the World Series, do you think I would ever shut the fuck up? I would never shut the fuck up if the Padres won the World Series. You would know all about it.
And I put $50 on 2-1 odds for Silk Song being released at the end of March. So
yes, that's right.
And now we've
still
got
a possibility.
We've got our bets, which resolve at the end of Q2, which kind of leads me into a very obvious E3 theming. So these ones are pretty relatively likely to happen. pretty like AAA type bets, I guess I would say.
Okay.
Steve, I want to give you another chance, and you only have 2-1 odds this time, not 4-1 odds, that Super Switch is officially announced by the end of E3 2023. I hate to recycle it, but it's your time for redemption. And let me say before we do this, Andre is sitting with a nice $1,550. We all started with $1,000. I'm in second place with $1,025, up $25. Steve, regretfully, is at $350, so you can't bet more than $350, Steve.
He's a very YOLO better. You ever play poker with him on a game? What is it?
Clubhouse games.
Clubhouse games. He is YOLO. He is. So he's just throwing out money all over the place.
You don't want to play poker with me, IRL. Anyway.
Well, now I do want to play poker with you. So what are we going to do? I guess we're just going to have to go in the hole if all of a sudden Steve loses his Disney bet. What if he puts all his money on this bet? He's going to be owing. Then we got to get baseball bats with nails in them.
Yeah, then we'll have to come to his house and get some fake fine time dollars. Yeah, we can go negative. We can go negative.
Say, why not? We can't do Jeopardy rules and go negative.
Yeah,
if you go negative, you get relentlessly mocked. So just keep that in mind with your next bet.
Naked.
Although, yeah, okay.
Bearing in mind how broke I am, I'm going to go with a $150 bet on Switch gets a super de-duper Switch. Or
if you put $350 on it, you could be up to $700 just with that.
I'm aware, don't let him tempt you.
I'm aware. I've been to.
It's pretty safe.
Yeah, not safe enough with my small money. 150.
Fine. Well, you said 150. All right, you're in. Possible winning of 300.
Oh my god.
Well, Andre, I picked this one for you because I feel like you always get a little extra giddy when we attack Microsoft for releasing the same 3 franchises for 20 years. And I think it's quite likely that it's time that Microsoft announces a new Gears of War title at E3 2023 for 3-1 odds.
Yes, I'm in on this. Yes.
Okay.
How much money? Monet.
Got over 1,500. You can afford to.
I feel like going
with it.
See, I've been more conservative than you guys, so like I don't know. I feel like kind of going. You know what? Let's do $300.
Okay,
let's do $300. Yeah.
Possible chance to win $900.
Yeah, come on. So to recap, new Gears at E3, not a remake or like just a new Gears 6
Gears
basically.
of War title. Yeah, or maybe a spin-off, we would say, but yeah, Gears of War 2 remastered, probably not eligible.
Yeah, not like Gears of War trilogy, 120 frames, not like that. Okay,
It has to be a real Gears of War, right? They can't come out and say here's Gears of War Tactics or some shit.
Well, they did Gears of War Tactics, so I guess that could happen. I don't know. That would technically be a new Gears of War title.
Yeah, just a new game, not a remake of an existing one. Whether it's like a traditional Gears or not, like a new game, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
If he wins $900 from fucking Gears of War like mobile tennis, I'm going to be a little bit butthurt.
A mobile game. Well, I won't count a mobile game. I have more pride than that. I'm not gonna only Gears of War mobile tennis only for Windows Phone. I ain't doing
it. Okay. For me, I've got Elder Scrolls 6 footage, quote unquote, of some sort is shown at E3 23. Now that could include gameplay or just any footage. I would say it qualifies as any motion video with Starfield theoretically being out by then. That's the next thing. It's possible, but not that likely. So give me I would say you guys give me 20-1.
Oh my god. I don't know, Steve. I feel. I don't know. So we would even count. Personally, I would count a cinematic trailer or something that's not gameplay. Because I don't expect gameplay right now. Okay. Want to give him 3.
3, huh?
Yeah. I feel
Seems
like
cheap.
3's pretty fair.
3
yeah.
seems cheap.
3. We could be generous and go 4, but I feel like 3 or 4 is kind of the sweet spot here. I don't feel like it should be like a 6-1.
3 sounds right for a cinematic trailer.
Could we make it multi-tiered? Could we be like 3 for cinematic trailer, 4 for like gameplay?
We could if we set it up as 2 bets.
I'd almost say 5 for gameplay.
Oh yeah, see 5 for gameplay. Can we twist your shit? Can we do 3? Yeah, can we do 3 for cinematic trailer or whatever, and then 5 for gameplay?
So you said 3-1 for footage of any sort.
Yes, cinematic trailer, if you will. Yeah,
and 5-1 for gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I put money on both of these and they do show gameplay, technically, I win both.
Yes, you win both. Right? If they show gameplay, you also get cinematic trailer.
That's right.
What do you think?
You guys are tricky. I think the footage is not unlikely to happen necessarily. Like, I think there's just going to be some like teaser bullshit to say, hey, remember, it's still coming.
I still think you should throw a few bucks at gameplay, though.
We're going to put $100 on footage of some sort.
Okay. Nice. What about gameplay?
For 5-1? Mm-hmm. I don't fucking see it happen. And $25.
Okay.
I don't think it's happening.
You may as well put a little quarter on.
Yeah, just for funsies.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. All right.
So we'll stay tuned until start of April and see how much more money Steve has lost. So end of April, again, we still have the next live action remake being for Pocahontas for Steve. Padres win the World Series for Andre, which is down in the dumps, and Silk Song released by the end of March. And then for end of Q2, Super Switch being announced at E3 for Steve. New Gears of War title at E3 for Andre, and then the Elder Scrolls footage and gameplay for Kevin.
Okay, so we'll see. Yeah, I always like the E3 ones. They always make me, No, we'll see. Okay, Kev, we got one more thing before we get out of here. Kevin had a thing.
I want to know what the worst video game you guys have ever played is.
The worst video game. See, this is tough because like you could go in the direction of like Big Rigs Racing or something that's like hella busted, or just something that feels like it should be good and it just fails in every aspect for you. And I feel like that's actually the worst games because they know what they're doing. They know they're being bad on purpose and they're just making you play their monstrosity. I feel like for me, a few games fit in this category. Most recently, Sonic Forces. And I know like I get hyperbolic about Sonic. Sonic Forces is genuinely like one of the worst games I've ever played. It's easily the worst Sonic game. I don't know how that game doesn't get more flack than it does. Maybe because our standards are so low for Sonic now. But
that's what I was like. Sonic Forces like is not like completely hated by everyone. I don't think it went over well, but I think that it had its fans.
It had a couple fans, especially since when the OC Sonic OC Don't Steal portion of the game is like the best part of the game. Steve, it's like, yo, man. Then classic Sonic is there and he controls like a bowling ball. It's the worst like 2.5D controls I felt ever. Like take like the worst, like if you think like, I don't know, Pandemonium or PS1 like 2.5D games are like hard to control. This is like the absolute fucking worst. It's so bad. But I think my answer might be Echo the Dolphin. I always kind of gravitate towards Mega Man X6 in this instance for a lot of reasons, which when Steve played it last year, we went over. It is genuinely one of the worst games I've ever played. Would you also say that, Steve, for the same reasons?
It's pretty bad.
But Echo the Dolphin is so poorly considered at every stage of its development. It is so poor in everything it tries to execute. It is so unfair. It is so spiteful. It gets the ocean stuff down right, and I guess it's cool that, like, you use sonar and you talk to your other dolphin friends and stuff. Like, that's neat. But as a game, as an adventure game with stages, it is beyond amateurish. I don't even know how to describe how bad it is. It is genuinely one of the worst. I cannot believe this game was so popular. It is the worst popular game of all time. I'll say that.
Andre, I can't believe you are so full of shit. We all know you spent Christmas with your Sega Genesis Classic 2 playing the Sega CD version of Echo the Dolphin.
And the Tides of Time. They have both Sega CD versions on there. And when me and Vin do our inevitable Genesis Mini 2 thing, we will have to bitch about the Tides of Time. But no, I don't know, guys. I'm sure everyone's played Echo the Dolphin at least a little bit, but that's it. We've all played it a little bit. Because if you play any more, this game sucks.
I think you hit the nail right on the head, because I remember when I first heard of your frustration with Echo, because that was the playing at my aunt and uncle's game when I was a kid, and I look back on it fondly. Mm-hmm. And sometime in the last couple of years, I sat down and actually tried to play Echo the Dolphin, and I spent maybe hour and a half with it, and then just it's definitely some bullshit.
It's bullshit. And we even did, me and Vin played through it on Sega Genesis and Nintendo Switch Online because we're masochistic. We want to play the whole game. And we played half the game. And at some point we said, fuck this. And we turned on the cheat code to have infinite health. It was still the worst. It was still so bad.
M2 made the Sega 3D Classics versions of Genesis games. And one of them was Echo the Dolphin. And it looks real good in 3D. I got to tell you that it really pops, but I'm like, oh right, we're playing Echo the Dolphin.
It's the worst. Sorry, Brooks, out there, if you're listening, I know you like Echo the Dolphin, and I'm sure he's very hurt by these words right now, but sorry, man, I think this game is the worst. I think it's worse than Mega Man X6. Anyway, Kevin, why don't you? I want to hear yours next.
Well, I feel like I've kind of attacked Steve a couple times here, but I'm going to do it again tonight because this one is entirely his fault. My esteemed co-host is responsible for letting me know that Captain Novolin for the Super Nintendo exists. To be fair, when he mentioned it, he told me it was not a good game, but I've got type 1 diabetes. Not only that, I even use the same fucking brand of insulin, so I thought I'm going to be a wizard for this. I'm going to see the cookies and know I'm not supposed to eat them, and I can't eat the carrots. And, if there's donuts, I can only have them if my wife's not looking and she's not going to yell at me. I maybe spent 10 minutes of genuinely trying to even figure out what the fuck at all was going on with that game. It is miserable. It is probably the worst game I've ever played because it's just entirely nonsensical. I don't even know how you're supposed to move the character around properly. You can't even make decisions in that game for lack of control. So fuck you, Kevin. Steve. This is your fault.
Kevin, check your feet.
Why?
Well, you don't remember?
Are they swollen from diabetes? Well, you don't remember? You're making me nervous.
Okay, I'm sorry for everyone at home. There's in addition to the doctors that tell you to check your insulin levels and give you a whole grocery list of food to eat. Like, okay, for breakfast you can have a banana, a piece of peanut butter toast, a glass of milk. Like, they'll just pop in sometimes and go, check your feet for for infections. I'm like, okay,
my feet are okay, my eyes are okay. What's great about diabetes? You can eat pretty much as much cheese as you want because cheese has really no effect on blood sugar. So,
which is your favorite food?
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah. So,
what about you? What's your worst video game, Steve?
Hold on though, before he gets there, I'm sorry. So this was like a Captain Novolin is on this some sort of old game that existed or some indie game.
Yeah, it's on
what is
Super
this?
Nintendo.
Oh, this was
the intent was to teach children how to manage their diabetes.
Produced by widespread, insulin company Novo Nordisk.
So this was like not a retail product like on the shelf. This was just like something that was given to
a doctor prescribed this to you, and yes.
Okay.
Kevin's copy came off archive.org, if we're being honest.
Most people's copies came off of archive.org.
Oh boy. All right, I'm sorry. I had to know more. So, Steve, what's the worst game you ever played, if you have one?
Oh, yeah, well, I'm sure I played technically worse, and we all like to, give me a hard time for being the Super Nintendo guy, even though Kevin just admitted to me pointing him out toward a bad Super Nintendo game. But, oh my god, guys, the Chester Cheetah Too Cool to Fool was a learning experience. I got that game in my stocking in 1995 or 4, and you play as Chester Cheetah, the guy, the cool cat on all the Cheetos bags, as he walks really slowly for a cheetah across a bunch of levels. I guess there's a zookeeper and a dog and turtle and snails on roller skates. And then it's weird because you can't run without shoes that look exactly like ones he's already wearing.
Did you just say snails on roller skates?
Or it might have been skateboards. It doesn't matter because
it probably makes more sense being on skateboards.
It doesn't really make sense because you have all these power-ups that don't really help you. Like you put on a second pair of shoes to actually enable running, and you can't control the running that well. And you have a guitar that makes you invincible for a few seconds, but all he really does is jam out for a few seconds, so he kind of just stands there. And if you're lucky, he might bop an enemy or two while the song plays. But most times he's going to jump into a pool of water instead.
That sounds like the worst version of the Legend of Kage spell. You know what I mean? You get the thing in the tree and you sit there and woo, and the screen flashes and all the ninjas come and die at you, except that like Chester Cheetah plays a guitar for a second. Yeah.
Yes, this is much worse. I'll have to find footage of this share. Then there's then you get some sunglasses and it turns things all dark. And then you get, remember the Paws Cheetos from the 90s, you guys?
That's what I was about to ask you. Did this coincide with the Paws?
Yes, this very much coincided with the Paws because the smaller ones you collected like coins and the big ones you collected as like a heart meter. And it was clearly meant to sell that, and I don't know, none of it was fun, but they made a second one and I refused to play it.
They made this again?
Huh?
They made this again?
I don't have this second one, but this first one I got on Super Nintendo, and it was a very bad lesson on where Steve had to come to the realization that, yes, some games are just terrible. Not just some games might not just be for Steve, but some games are terrible.
Why did you get this? Did you ask for this, or did they think you would just like this? Or
no,
like...
it was cheap. It was cheap at Blockbuster, and they put it in my stocking.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I figured that was the case. I just thought, like... I don't know.
I mean, later that day, I got Donkey Kong Country 2, and, that was much better. But
passive aggressive comments towards your parents for scarring you with it?
No, I mean, but, later on, as time went on, I did what any sane person would do. I would get a storage box, and I would I shut it closed tight, and I know you guys never saw Indiana Jones, so, it's like at the end of that, where it's deep in archive storage, way in the back where it can't hurt anyone anymore. It's going to be examined by top men. Who are they? Top men.
It's going to be examined by nobody. Nobody wants to play chat. I don't even think I would have remembered that game existed if you didn't say so. But also, I've never heard anyone say how much it sucks. I just always thought it was just your average, like, boring platformer.
That's kind of what I assume too.
You ask around the internet today, people like Cool Spot. There was a bunch of those, and even that dumb NES game that was just Othello. But I mean, people like Cool Spot, and in comparison to that, I will play Cool Spot for you right now instead of Chester Cheetah ever again.
Cool Spot is, though, at least like graphically it's like very pleasing, right? You're at the beach and you're a 7-Up cap, and like, it's not their best Virgin Interactive game, right? But I don't know. I never thought Cool Spot was that bad.
Well, a company called Kaneko made this. It clearly tries to look like a bunch of other logos from the 90s to, try and trick parents and kids. Now, this sort of looks like the Namco logo if you squint hard enough. And the only other game other than the only other game other than Chester Cheetah that people can seem to remember is Socks the Cat Rocks the Hill, which actually didn't come out.
I was going to say, I don't think that came out.
The ROM's done, and it even got reviews in most of the magazines at the time, but I think the company shut down by that point.
Mm-hmm.
You can, I'm sure it's right next to a few spaces down from Captain Novel on archive.org if anyone wants to play that one.
I've never been to such a website, Steve.
No,
where
never.
I found pre-Pokemon Game Freak games for a later podcast of ours. I've never do such a thing.
What is a Jerry Boy even?
No, who knows? Who's to say? All right. I think that's enough. Fine time for now. Glad to be back. Everybody, if you like this show and you listen on iTunes or Apple Podcasts on your phone, please give us a 5-star rating. Please write just a sentence for a review. It would help out a small show like ours so much. That would be great if you could do that, or wherever you listen, whatever rating system they have, please rate us and review us.
And tell your mom about the show too.
Tell your mom about that show if she doesn't mind guys in their 30s and 40s saying bad words about video games angrily.
Fuck.
Oh my God, you can never say such a thing. We're out of here. Fine Time Podcast on Twitter, guys. Catch us there. See you next time. Bye.